Hello, and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin has broken out of the corrective price channel to the upside, and we are back to 34.5K. Things are looking good. Bitcoin moving completely different than the S&P 500, which is just going down at the moment. So we obviously at the moment have quite a critical situation in the stock market. Let me just, in the meantime, go to the daily chart, which I want to show you as well. So we have quite a critical situation in the stock market, really at a key make or break point. Probably one of the, if not the most decisive week. You never know how long it stretches out. It might stretch into next week until we get that decision, but we're really sitting between two main scenarios, either completely bearish or another nice year-end rally. Those are typically the best times to take a trade. Because you're very close to an invalidation point. Now, interesting reason why I mention that is because Bitcoin moves completely different to the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, where typically those comments about correlations have completely disappeared. Bitcoin and crypto, they do their own thing, right? And that's why it's so important not to be so much focused on correlations, because a lot of people were like, oh, stock market is going down, cryptos have to go down as well. Whereas I say you just have to focus on the chart of the asset that you're focused on. There's no point looking at the S&P 500 to find an entry on the Bitcoin chart. It just doesn't make any sense. So best is obviously to just focus on the actual asset. Best is to use it's just so straightforward, actually, so common sense, but best is just to use the chart of the asset that you want to trade. Yeah, just to use the chart of the asset that you want to trade to find an entry, not the chart of another asset that you don't want to trade to find an entry in an asset that you want to trade. This doesn't make any sense. So yeah, again, for anybody who's new, because we get a lot of new viewers these days, obviously interest is coming back in the crypto market, which is amazing. We are in an active uptrend. Expectations are to reach the 40 to 50K region, very roughly. Next, now that will probably take a little while to get there. We have a wave 4 in between, before we reach this white target box, and the wave 4 can take a while to play out. They are typically very boring, and especially after a rally like this, we might see a little bit of a slowdown before we get there, but we should get there. How long it is going to take is basically impossible to say. You just cannot time the market. Elliott Wave is a price-based system. Everybody who I've seen who's been using time-based fibs or stuff like that, they typically, it's typically not reliable, okay? And I think it just introduces variables that rather confuse, and you get into this kind of analysis paralysis kind of mindset. You want to avoid that. You just want to, keep it simple, basically. So the Elliott waves tell us that we're in an uptrend. That's my assumption. The assumption actually is that we get to all-time highs somehow in this structure. Obviously not in a straight line. It will take a while, and there will be setbacks along the way. I've been saying all year it will be a rocky road. I think it has been a rocky road, even though the Bitcoin chart is probably one of the best ones still out there, in the crypto world, if not the best one. Now, obviously, that's an assumption that is based on a very, very shaky foundation that Bitcoin has built here in this region. And therefore, we still have to consider that the move up could just be a high B wave, which might break down. But therefore, we're tracking the bullish support levels that I give you on a daily basis to understand when the trend is likely breaking. Because if a support level breaks, then we are heading into a region where trading on the long side is much more risky. Yeah, it doesn't mean that necessarily all upside scenarios are invalidated. Even now, not all downside scenarios are invalidated, but downside setups are invalidated, okay? Downside setups already were invalidated on the 21st. That was last Saturday. Yeah, and when these were invalidated, on the 20th or the 21st, I think it was here, maybe even on the 20th, yeah, roughly, we did say we have to focus more on the upside, yeah, and all downside scenarios basically, well, not the downside scenarios, they are still there because we could still get a C wave down, but the immediate downside setups, they were invalidated, and you just have to focus on long setups, basically. The thing is that it's been the case that Bitcoin dominance has been going up. The altcoins haven't really been the right choice this year. That's a very general statement. Of course, there are individual altcoins that have outperformed Bitcoin, but if you look at just a broader picture, general statement, obviously Bitcoin dominance going up, still going up, and Bitcoin still leading the way. That will change at some point, and then we might get an alt season, okay? And that often happens in consolidation periods when Bitcoin is consolidating. That's typically when the altcoins are starting to push as well. Okay, so now that we've talked about the overall targets here to the upside, let's talk about the short term. Here, nothing has changed really, but instead the analysis that I provided earlier today shows that, it gave you a hint that we might already be on our way up here in the wave 5 of 3. Now going back to the daily chart, I'm talking about this wave 3. That's likely not quite finished. It seems like we get another extension in this wave 3 to around about 36K. Again, back to the shorter time frame, we see here a potential bullish flag. What kind of wave count these typically develop is difficult to say, right? It could be that this is just going to become a more complex wave 4, that wave 4 isn't finished. The break out of the corrective price channel, however, causes us to look more closely, but it really takes a break above the B wave high next at $34,900 to indicate further that a low has been made. At the moment, all we've done is to break out of a price channel. That is an early indication that the trend is continuing. That's the preference anyway, against support of 32,750. But we really need to break above those previous highs to confirm and to get to the 36K level. If support breaks here, micro support, I have to change the assumption. It wouldn't be bearish, but we would then assume that we're already in the larger degree fourth wave. It's too early to talk about that because so far the price is pushing, but it's not pushing in an impulsive way. So we're just observing it. Tricky, of course, because a wave 5 here, an extension within wave 3, can be an ending diagonal. So it can be very choppy on the way up. But basically, it should be that we head down afterwards in a larger wave 4 pullback. Now, that could just be an extended sideways correction. I don't mind Bitcoin consolidating in this area a bit. That gives everybody who maybe hasn't had the chance to buy as we moved higher below the breakout point to maybe add in these pullbacks if they want to do that. Also, in my opinion, consolidating in this region just adds further support for further trend continuation higher. So it's actually quite bullish. It's a good sign if we consolidate at a pretty high level or just above a breakout point. And it means that we are sustaining above a certain level, which is good. Yeah, that's my update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the links in the description. As a channel member, you get access to the weekly live streams. Every Sunday we do one. You get access to Discord and Telegram, a great community, lots of educational content, and also you get access to to actually intraday market updates, but only as a gold member. If you're interested in the S&P 500, then check out our stocks and S&P 500 service. It's all to be found in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.